Hi, this is Eric at Try Audio. Do you miss things from the past like arcades, Pizza Hut buffets, stereo stores, wearing tank tops and gold chains? Well, maybe not that last one, but definitely stereo stores. We used to go in and mess around with all sorts of real expensive equipment that you were never going to buy. But the internet killed most of those places off. But not all of them. Here in St. Louis, there's at least one stereo store left with all sorts of fantastic stuff. They're called Frenchtown Audio, and I paid them a visit. Frenchtown Audio is at 3850 Gravois Avenue in the south part of St. Louis. So your first question is probably, how fast do I need to drive through this part of town? Nah, it's not like that. This is a decent area. It's not the suburbs, but for the city, it's pretty good. So I'm at Frenchtown Audio in St. Louis, Missouri. I have never been here before. Frenchtown Audio changed locations within the last year, and I was at the old location, which was on Broadway. This is on Gravois. Never been here. Looks like a much bigger store. The weather is not the greatest today. It is pretty rainy and drizzly. Let's go inside and see what they have in this giant floor space. So when you walk in, the first thing you see are some vinyl records. Every good stereo store needs some vinyl records. This steers you to the right where you see components. Oh, and wait, what else did we just see? Yeah, that's a bar. I had been to the old location one time, and I don't recall if this bar was in there or not. I do recall being offered a beverage that time by the owner, David. Super nice, very sociable guy. I was able to get a few minutes of his time and ask him a few questions, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. Anyhow, yes, a very nice looking bar. Back to the equipment. Receivers, amplifiers, equalizers, a nice section of Pioneers, an SX 1050. I'll come back and show you these in more detail later. An SX 850, a couple SX 780s. For now, let's get an idea of the layout. So we have all this at the front of the store. So you start to walk to the back of the room and you see a counter and an Alphatech electronics sign. I believe Alphatech is a stereo repair facility. I'm not an expert on this since I work on my own stuff, but I believe Alphatech used to be in a different location and they're now located here, merged with Frenchtown. So now swinging to the other side of the store, we have lots more stuff. Components and speakers everywhere. Reel-to-reel units. Lots more stuff. Then at the front, a section of Marantz. I'll show you these in more detail in a bit. And down from this, a section of vintage McIntosh. Come around the corner and see some vintage Altec Lansings that were literally just wheeled in. But then we go into the first of two listening rooms. The room is lined with speakers. I want to pause right here. See these things? They caught my eye because the white posts you see are pieces of PVC pipe. I asked the owner about them and he said they are sold as kits. You supply the PVC and they supply the rest. The company is called Linkwitz. They look very unassuming, but he played them for me and they sounded fantastic. It's hard to believe that two little drivers perpendicular to each other could sound that good with no enclosure. Now back to the tour. This room has the Klipsch Heritage series in it. They have a pair of Klipsch horns. How many stores can say that? They also have the Cornwalls, Fortes, and Heresies. Some vintage speakers I don't recognize. A couple of couches for some comfortable auditioning. So let's head out of this room and into the other listening room. Sorry for pointing the camera at the floor. Martin Scorsese, I am not. So here it is, and it is loaded with speakers. Elac, Celestion, Cambridge Audio, then the KLH lineup. I have a pair of vintage KLH speakers, but I've never heard their new ones. They're supposed to be great. I think these are the model 7, 5, and 3. Some more Elac and Klipsch speakers. Some amazing looking McIntosh gear. And on the other wall, more speakers. I believe the electrostatic speakers are Martin Logan's. There's JBL and Ohm. Some great Yamaha gear powering this. And back to the door. So this is my best guess at the layout of this place. Remember, I'm a bit of a doofus, so this is probably completely wrong. I went from memory and from photos, and some of the video is absolutely not to scale, probably has a lot of flaws in it and is not accurate, but I just wanted to give you an overall idea, which I think it can, of the layout. You got the 2 listening rooms, you got those giant shelving units by the windows with the McIntosh, Marantz, Pioneer sections, plus all the other stuff in the middle.
I'm David Boykin. I'm the owner here of Frenchtown Audio and Alphatech Electronics.
All right, thanks, David. Let's just get some of your personal opinions on equipment. If you had only one set of speakers that you could live the rest of your life with, any idea what those would be?
That's a hard question.
I know, that's a super hard question from a stereo owner.
Well, because you get, for me, it comes down to you get vintage speakers, and then you've got the newer stuff, and they're very different, different sounds. My favorite vintage speaker of all time is a one from the early 2000s called a Yamaha Concert 10. You don't see them in the US too much, but it's a small bookshelf and it's just spectacular. I love it.
Really?
But I also love the early Altec stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up with that. Absolutely love all that stuff.
I saw some big Altecs sitting over there.
Yeah,
we got some big, came out of a movie theater or something.
Big old Altecs. So.
Yes, awesome. I guess same question for either amplifier or receiver. I know it's a tough question, but
ooh,
maybe let's think. Even I'll help you out. How about just vintage? Some let's say pre-1980.
Pre-1980. I mean, you gotta love Marantz and you gotta love Pioneer. Just good, clean stuff.
Absolutely.
But my heart has always been with McIntosh.
Yeah. It shows. You have an excellent McIntosh collection there.
Like a lot of people who love vintage audio, our fathers were very influential. Whatever your dad had on the shelf is probably something that's close to your heart.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I grew up with McIntosh.
Wow, you were a lucky man. I did not. I grew up with sound design and Emerson's. You did way better than I did growing up.
Yeah.
Do you have a particular album or song or even a band that you use for comparing different pieces of audio equipment, like a go-to song or go-to album of any sort?
Oh yeah. We probably have 20 or 30 go-tos, but that go-to changes all the time. And that's half the fun with a pro audio. You know, this whole field is everybody's looking for the perfect song to highlight a speaker.
Sure.
Especially when you own a store, you want your speakers to be shown in the best light.
Any favorite? Anything comes to mind? I know, like for me. Oddly, Tom Petty's song Refugee is one that I love to use Refugee because I heard it so many times. I know exactly really what it should sound like, and it's an excellently produced song.
Yeah.
Of course, a lot of people love Fleetwood Mac, Pink Floyd, those kind of things. Anything?
I love Fleetwood Mac. If it was recorded a little bit better, I'd use it exclusively. It's not recorded bad. It's just not at the audiophile level.
Yeah.
What is like Dire Straits. That's a big go-to for us. Steely Dan's a go-to.
Of course.
I mean, the studio work on that's outstanding. Of course, Pink Floyd. There are certain things in the rock genre that stand out, but a lot of rock was mixed for AM radio.
Yes.
Like, I love the Stones. I love the Rolling Stones. I can't use them for demo because it's raw, it's rough.
Yeah, but, exactly. Which is amazing that bands like Fleetwood Mac in the 70s put it all together, and Dire Straits, especially that first album, where they were able to separate the instruments so well in the track that on a great stereo, they all, like every instrument, every pluck of a guitar string, every snip of a snare, all heard perfectly separated from each other.
Now, another genre, the jazz, is really strong for demoing speakers and seeing what a speaker is capable of. Diana Krall is everybody's favorite in this industry. She just does great work, and most of her albums, not so much her first couple albums, but all the ones after that are just exceptionally good. They're just, and that's the thing when you're demoing this vintage equipment. You want to play a song that's recorded well, but you also want to try to play a song that they know.
Oh yes.
Or genre they like. That's why we keep going back to Steely Dan and Dire Straits, and a couple of my technicians in the back have gotten to where they absolutely can't stand Steely Dan because they've heard it way too many times.
I'm sure if you work in a stereo store, Steely Dan is probably played more than anything else. But you're right, it does have to be a song you're familiar with, so that when it does sound amazing, you know that that's not what it normally sounds like on a normal stereo.
Absolutely.
Yep. As far as new equipment or new-ish equipment, do you have anything that you would say you have perceived as being like the most bang for the buck? And it could be a turntable, it could be a DAC, it could be anything, but anything that you've clocked like, wow, that is a lot for what little money you're paying for it.
Well, that's kind of our specialty here. Since we are a vintage store and we do new, we end up in a lot of the mid-fi range. You know, of course, I've got some expensive stuff, and I've got some stuff that's really bargain, but a lot of our customers are looking for the absolute best sound for the money. On the new brands, some of the standouts are Cambridge Audio.
Yes.
They just do super high-end quality. NAD, we love NAD. Especially NAD, the Note Icon is just for the money, hard to beat, And let me see whether Onkyo has a new series called Icon Series, strangely enough. They got a CD player that is spectacular. Matter of fact, I believe it's the best CD player on the market at the $400 price range.
Oh.
I haven't seen anything that beats it. It's got it's got the digital coaxial, hookup in the back. It's got optical. It's got the RCA, full-size remote, the nice screen where you can count backwards and do all the things. But the most importantly is they put the 32-bit chip in it. And to get something at that level with a 32-bit chip for $400, you can't beat it.
Is a 32-bit chip in the DAC that's going to give you a better analog output? Is that what the chip is for? Yeah,
it's normally you'll see at the $400 level you'll see the 24. That one's got 32 for who knows why. They just did it, and it's really nice. It's really nice.
And I will say I'm a huge Onkyo fan. On my channel, 3 of my top-rated receivers, vintage receivers, are Onkyos. So I'm a huge Onkyo fan, and I was as an 18-year-old had a full Onkyo system. So I definitely appreciate the Onkyos. Well, Dave, I appreciate your time. Thanks for letting me hang out here in your store, and good luck in your new location.
Hey, no problem. Thank you.
Okay, let's start by looking at some of the vintage McIntosh stuff. All right, so I moved the camera around way too fast, thus proving my previous proclamation that I am a doofus. All right, I'm sorry about that. I know very little about McIntosh, so I can't really add much commentary. I did own a McIntosh Mac 1900 a few years ago, but sold it. This stuff is very impressive though. So now moving over to what I know more about, the Marantz. Here is the ever popular 2270. We have an amp, the 1030. We have the 125 watt 2325. Some other various stuff I moved past way too quickly. The 185 watt 2385. Very impressive. Don't see many of these. Feel free to point out in the comments the other things I'm skipping past. We got a 2220B. The 130 watt 2330 and the 2130 tuner. It has a scope for visually tuning in stations. And a lot more. Onto the Pioneer stuff, we have an SX1050, There's a couple SX 780s in here, an amplifier and tuner set. Pioneer tape deck, a 650. And then there's a lot of audio research gear he had up here on the shelf too. Not familiar with them, but looks impressive. We're gonna go ahead and fast forward all the way over to the upper left-hand side. So down here at the end, I did go a little bit slower. The Crown, the DBX, not sure what those are. Feel free to add in the comments if you know what these things are. Some Sony gear, some Technics, Yamaha. A realistic EQ. Some more Technics, Crown. If you know what these blue ones are, feel free to put those in the comments as well. Bogan, a brand I've heard of, but not very familiar with. There's one of those amps that has dual power meters. That's an Onkyo. Looks fantastic. Realistic receiver. Some Carver equipment. Sony power amplifier with dual power meters. Concept. There's that Pioneer amplifier and tuner. You really don't need me to read these brands off, do you? So here are some other various things around the store. I know nothing about turntables, but here are a few. You know, it's seeing this kind of stuff that really makes me want to go out and buy more gear. I just want to know what they all sound like. Just so you know, I'm not associated with the store in any kind of way. I just love these kinds of things. I just dropped in there unannounced. If you are not from St. Louis, it is a great place to visit. If you have kids between the age of 3 and 18, come to St. Louis and take them to the City Museum. Don't be confused by the name. It is not a museum. It is a giant interactive art piece in a giant building that is unlike anything else on the planet. It really is. It's got a cave system, multi-story slides, tunnels, rooftop Ferris wheel, and most of it's made from repurposed industrial objects. St. Louis also has a great zoo and science center, both of which are free. We also have fantastic barbecue. There's a lot of great spots, but my favorites include Bogart's and Sugar Fire. And of course, stop by Frenchtown Audio.